Welcome to The Bold. How are you? Where are you watching us from? In Nairobi. Nairobi is relatively cold. I think after the floods, I don't know why, but it's now very cold. And now we hope that you're still keeping safe. The rains are not yet off. We're not yet off the hook because it's still coming kidogo kidogo. Where are you watching us from? I'll be so glad our viewers across the world to know where you're watching us from. The rapture in Rift Valley is very shocking. And when exclusion question emerged on the new Keter roads allocation, when in Kikuyu constituency, Kimani Chungwa's constituency got more allocation than what the whole Kiambu County got, Gadano Mushomba raised very pertinent questions, but she was dismissed because that was seen as a political statement. But now in Nandi, the youths went to the streets asking Kipchumba Murkomen and President Ruto, tuliwafanyia nini?
Kuliwa niko na wanafunzi wanafaa kurudi shule, sina chochote mfukoni. Nategemea ukulima. Lori zetu za chomisia zinalala hapa kwa hii barabara. Magari zetu za kubeba mahindi zinalala kwa hizi barabara. Na hiyo ndio haki yetu tunangojea. Tunakatwa ushuru kila wakati, hatujui zinaenda wapi.
Kwa majina ni Frank Ruto. Mimi ni mkaji wa Kaptoroi, Kapten Kamoiwa. Constituency ikiwa ni Chesumei. Tumejumuika hapa leo kwa sababu ya njia ya Denja Chemuswa Road ambayo kwa miaka mingi haijaundwa. Hata maintenance peke yake hakuna. Tumekuja hapa leo kumuuliza Murkomen. Juzi ukifanya cassetting ya barabara hapa Nandi, hatukuona barabara yetu. Na hiyo ndio swali kuu tunajiuliza, ni lini Murkomen utatuundia hii barabara ya Denja Chemuswa? Watu wasikuja hapa tudanganya ya kwamba kuna mvua. Mvua haikuwa kuanzia Januari. Mvua imeanza hii wiki jana. Na ni nini ilizuia tusiundiwe barabara? Hiyo ndio swali kuu. Leo tunataka kumuuliza rais wetu William Ruto, ni nini ndio tulikukosea ndio tusiweze kuundiwa barabara? Tukiwa wakaaji wa Chesumei, hatuna barabara hata moja. Barabara ambayo inategemewa ni barabara ya Denja Chemuswa.
Fanya kazi, fanya kazi.
These are residents of Nandi, and they are asking, and this is coming after that list came out, and I've always been saying here, I have quite a number of few friends in Kenya Kwanza who also feel some things are not just right, but they don't have the audacity to speak out about them. And so seeing the locals coming out to protest and ask those tough questions is not something that should be taken lightly. William Ruto's backyard is also feeling that they're being excluded. And so many asking questions about what is this about. But if you think it's just about the roads, maybe you are wrong. Because recently in Uasin Gishu, some JSS teachers also went to the street complaining that they need employment. And as the JSS teachers are asking where the employment letters, maybe they should get Kisi leaders, the backyard of education CS Machogu, who are attending Harambes and funerals with TSC letters.
I am Mr. Tarus, a suffering teacher in JSS. I'm really suffering. I want to address this to Mr. President. Mr. President, you are in charge of this government. The people you are seeing in the streets of Eldoret, we have brought a standstill in Eldoret town, are the Asolas who made you to be the president. Yes. We voted for you until the last man. You promised us that your government is going to be a government of the Asolas, but it is ironical that this government has become a government of the dynasties. Yes, it is. Why am I saying so? The people who are benefiting in employment of permanent and pensionable are the children of dynasties, the children of who knows who. The very young graduates who graduated recently. Mr. President, I'm a very truthful man like your deputy president.
Exactly.
I want to tell you this. I want to tell you this. The moment you put down the Bible, vile uliweka Biblia chini, TSC ceased to be an independent commission. It became a puppet on the string.
Yeah.
It became a puppet on a string. It is now being controlled by the MPs. You are MPs of Kenya Kwanza and anybody else who is very much close to you. I want to tell you that, Mr. President. Why am I saying so? The letters are being dished left, right, and center. Letters of PNB in high school. We are not supposed, in fact, we are not supposed to be suffering in primary. We are not supposed to be in Shagaola. The letters of PNB in secondary school, high school, are being dished left, right, and center by your MPs. We are no longer getting any adverts of replacements in TSC. We are no longer getting any adverts of mass recruitment. Ilienda wapi, Mr. President? The last time tukipata hiyo ni ile serikali ya Mulevi. Mulevi Uhuru Kenyatta. Tulikuwa tunapata adverts, tulikuwa tunaenda interview. It was very fair. It was very fair indeed. So, Mr. President, I want to tell you this. We are really suffering.
My name is Keter Geoffrey. I'm an official of Kupeti Uasin Gishu branch, and I want to address the Teacher Service Commission. That the Teacher Service Commission has become a CDF, where all the MPs of Kenya Kwanza will go inside there, pick the letters, and dish to the people they know.
Yes.
Here we have the teachers who graduated as early as 2014, 2013. They have not been given any employment letters because they have no one. They don't know is their MP. Their MP, whom they had the best manifestos, have now gone to crash.
They are not available.
They are not available. They cannot be reached. So teachers, in other words, wameingia nyasi. Jana tumeona pale Kisii wabunge wanapigania barua ya Teacher Service Commission. Tunasema, is Teacher Service Commission still employing teachers or just dishing to members of parliament?
On whether state appointments can be dished out in the manner in which they are being dished out by cabinet secretaries led by none other than CS for Education, the Honorable Machogu. So MPs, we will be summoning the CS to Parliament to explain to us where and how members of ODM can pick TSC employment letters.
And so the question is, what is wrong with us? Let me read for you the reaction from Gadonio Mushomba and Caleb Hamisi, the Sabauti member of parliament, who both of them raised question of disparity. The two Rift Valley clips show a point of also exclusion. Is it deliberate? Gadonio Mushomba is saying, what explains the kind of revenue share disparity? Githunguri has over 104k voters, while Kikuyu has 98,000 voters. Yet out of the Keter funds, Kikuyu constituency got 1.4 billion, which is 94% of out of what Kiambu County's share, which is 1.5 billion. Kalem Hamisi, Kikuyu constituency alone has received 1.4 billion for road maintenance, while entire western region comprising of 5 counties and 39 constituencies has only 50 million inside Kakamega State Lodge. Musalia Mudavadi and Wetangula, between the two of you, and Kimani Ichung'wah, who is number 3 in Ruto's government. And so the question of who is number 3 is coming because, you know, if you look at the way the jobs and look at some of these things are happening, you may be tempted to believe that there is an inside game around it. Alfred Keter shared that video and said, even in Nandi where shareholders reside, the hustlers are getting impatient with this Kenya Kwanza regime and they want to know why they are heavily taxed whereas there are no services in return. I know many might argue that these are just organized groups. But again, is it a matter of them saying the truth or speaking to the heart of their problems? And ladies and gentlemen, this is not something that is very lightly. Do you know, over the TSC issue, not Waziri, neither TSC nor even these MPs have come out to make a clarification, deny these charges, or maybe take responsibility. And so it means it is true that indeed some letters were dished in Harambee over the weekend. And over the weekend, when there was a drama and chaos ensued in a constituency in Kisii, the MPs had gone to Bomachoge with TSC letters, dishing out in the crowd so that they can be seen as privileged MPs to outdo the area member of parliament. The very dubious modus operandi, raising more questions about what exactly is Ruto about. Is the president's hands-on, is government, and it comes out like he's a man in captivity. And recently I watched this interview of one of former insiders saying something about a clique of kitchen cabinet that have captured William Ruto. And I think he is just a man under control, but not in control.
I do not have...
That even the president is unable to deal with it properly.
I am in an age group that can talk about the first president and his kitchen cabinet then. Yeah. And I was mature enough during Moi's time to know members of the kitchen cabinet. Even in Kibaki's cabinet, there was a kitchen cabinet. And they did mess him up, truth be told. They did mess him up. During Uhuru's time, there was also a kitchen cabinet. Some of the members of the kitchen cabinet are actually people who are flying the flag, but others are not flying the flag as it is known. But they are an animal that sits around the flag bearers. And I think this is what is happening in the 6 names that are mentioned here. They are cabinet, kitchen cabinet members controlling these dockets via remote control. And this is why...
who do not necessarily sit.
They don't sit, but they get to the president before the real flag bearers sit. And this is why I'm saying, to some extent, the president is captive to that kitchen cabinet.
Not necessarily to the cabinet secretaries.
Not necessarily to these ones, but there is a force, let's just call it a force. But those forces have got human faces. Waziri Pogiso has talked about trust deficit. It's there in the open. You don't have to have gone to any university in the world. You go to the streets, and very ordinary Kenyans are talking about it. The president must be having issues that he cannot crack the whip for reasons only known to himself. And when we get to that stage, we cannot blame the advisors, we cannot blame the cabinet. Maybe behind closed doors, they remind him.
We had a deal.
We had a deal. And the best thing is that don't push me this far. I will get out and talk about it. And if you look at the pronunciations of Moses Kuria, it's bordering to that.
And that is why the public is asking, from that video you've listened to, it is very evident that there's some forces that are pushing the president in the background. And despite of outlook of the cabinet facing condemnation from the public and across the political divide, that some members of the cabinet are incompetent and should not even sit in cabinet. But less is to be done. And if you think it's about the teachers and the roads, then perhaps also you need to listen to what I'm going to show you next. Because in Nairobi here, anti-counterfeit tried to stop one of the stores in CBD, and they're repelled by the business community that came together to say enough is enough. And still, and you can see here, this is the case where they went and impounded one of the shops, and things really not coming out well. Something I've always wondered about this discussion, or rather an attempt, the raid by the KRA and the counterfeits on businesses, is most of the goods that are flagged as counterfeit pass through the Kenyan border. Or rather, if they come from overseas, then they have to be cleared at the port. So how do we clear counterfeit goods at the port and then allow the goods to get into the country only for anti-counterfeit and KRA to really come raiding people's businesses? We are even affecting reputation of people's business, because imagine if I'm a client and I come in a shop, then when I'm shopping, KRA comes and starts saying, flagging this and that as being fake, then probably I won't even come back. So it's not a very good practice, but I want to know what happens in your country if you're out of Kenya now. If you're another country, not Kenya, what happens there? Maybe it will be interesting to get understanding outside, or maybe the experience outside the country. And the two demolitions, both in Mathare and Kibera, have seen residents coming together. And in this other video, you can see the residents of Kibera chasing the police who had gone there to try to demolish some structures. And so it means the population is not very comfortable with the way things are being done. So the president's modus operandi is really captured by the oligarchs. There's a clique of people in the inner cabinet that don't care and don't bother about the population outside, about what the population is saying. And the panelist that was just speaking there, because that was a TV interview in TV47, is talking about their flag cabinet, and there is inner cabinet without the flags. And many times, speaking through experience from Mwai Kibaki and former President Uhuru Kenyatta and Moi, the inner cabinet without the flags are the ones that calls the shots. So, I want us to have a view why the president is a man that looks like he's captured. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and like our video. The secrets of power grab. And I agree with what the panelist is saying, that if you look at how Kenya Kwanza came to power, it has bordered eligibility questions. And quite a number of Kenyans believe the power was grabbed, that election was rigged. And all the discussions about the split at the IBC Commission and how the results from different places and all the drama about the servers and all that really still compound a bigger issue, that maybe the ones that have power grabbed it. And if power grabbing was there, then that scheme cannot be a one-person scheme. That scheme must include many other forces within. And maybe the president made a mistake by taking some of these people that were involved in the power takeover and included them at critical positions in government. They feel probably entitled to it. They got it and they have it as their birthright. And so these are people you cannot say stop, because if you say stop and you cannot send them away, if you send them away, they must reveal the secret. They can't reveal the secret. And I agree with what the panelist is saying there. The other understanding is the 2027 political antagonism campaign that was disguised as Hustler Nation campaign. It was our biggest misdoing and undoing for the Kenya Kwanza administration. I was having a chit chat with one of our subscribers here, and he asked me a question, Kevin. If Raila Odinga was campaigning on a Hustler platform since 2017, do you think he will still be having political relevance now? And the answer is no. I want to tell you why. Raila Odinga's politics have been based on clamor for democracy, fairness, and justice for all. And that is something that is not time bound. And that is pegged on him. And has been supported by a pushback on every administration seeking justice and reforms moving forward. And that record is cemented also by his clamor for multi-party democracy back in 1992 and the pushback against Moi administration until Moi was pushed out of power in 2002. So the Hustler Nation is not something that can be, you can have it. And because of that, I strongly believe there was nothing like issue-based politics in 2022 general election. What we had is just creating a class war between those who have and those who don't have. And that was done by creating antagonism on former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Much as it's true that not everything was right by the time Uhuru Kenyatta was leaving power, but also you cannot underestimate the fact that Uhuru Kenyatta was a popular leader by then. And those who wanted to grab power only had one role, telling the country that a man that has been president for the last 10 years is not a good man and we are in problems because of his power. And so anyone who is associated with the president, Kenyans were meant to treat him as persona non grata. And that is how the antagonism politics was done. Now, people that led the antagonism politics are the ones that are in government. So if they walk out or if they are chased out, that politics will be deflated. And they might speak, actually try to roll back the carpet. The other thing is, you can see here, you can also smell president's hands in some of these deals. Is the president aware that in Kikuyu constituency have got more funds for road allocation? That is more than what even my county of Siaya got. Oh, I'm wrong. They got nothing. One constituency, which is also not even affected by the floods, have got 1.4 billion out of 1.5 billion given to that county. Maybe they're better, they've got something. While in the whole of Western County, no county has got anything apart from Kakamega, which has 50 million for the construction of roads around State House, State Lodge in Kisumu, in Kakamega. In my county of Siaya, I've checked the list and we've not found even a shilling. That is why the question emerging, really, is it true that the president is unaware? We are also creating layers of micromanaging the cabinet. And the president is on record saying at many times he calls the PS just to find out what's happening in ministries. And to his shock, there's some PSs that tell him things that Waziri do not know. I've always been telling the bold members here that we had a zebra ticket in every cabinet. That if the cabinet member is not a closest associate to the president, then the PS, who is the engine of that ministry, must be a close associate of the president. So that at any time where the presidents want to understand what's happening in every ministry, it's just a phone call away. And this layer of and this modus operandi has created insecurity of tenure and also another layers of managing. I agree that there are some MPs, do you know that there are some MPs that can walk in a ministry and walk and get a tender the next day? There are MPs that can walk in counties and get a tender. An example is a tender that was given for garbage collection for Oscar Sudi, who is a member of parliament from Kapseret, was in Gishu, and got a tender in Nairobi County government. So that level of micromanaging cabinet and other dockets in the country is the biggest misgiving for Kenya Kwanza administration. And I can tell you that the ramble, the more Kenyans continue talking, the more things are going to change. And if you ask me why, the answer is William Ruto feels threatened that his term is going down. And if this is not corrected, even though there is still time, Kenyans will start asking the tough questions. Thank you.